G'day guys, I'm Totally Zoo and welcome to Wirradale Zoo. So this is my first video. I'm super excited and thanks a bunch for watching. I'm hoping to share some of my Planet Zoo creations and opinions on this channel, but I'm not perfect, so I'm also keen to hear your thoughts, both with regards to the game itself and also obviously what I'm making. So ever since I've got this game, I've been super hooked. What I like especially is seeing other people playing online and seeing the gradual evolution of a zoo is amazing. So obviously what you're seeing on screen at the moment, there's not a whole lot going on. The hope is that over time we'll get to see this evolve from a flat expanse into a really exciting and good looking zoo. So that's what I'm hoping to achieve with this series, but I'm really keen to get your thoughts as well along the way, and I'm hoping to make this a little bit more of a collaborative approach. So if you've got any suggestions for what to build, please include a comment and I might look to include that in future. So I love animals and I love zoos. You can tell by my voice that I'm from Australia, and where I'm at we have two nice local zoos but very little else, so it's a bit of a shame that I can't see more. So this is a great outlet for me to create zoos that I wish I could be seeing. So aside from that, I am a bit obsessed with just the animals themselves, and I'm really passionate about animal conservation and the role that zoos play in that. I do sometimes feel a bit sad when you see an animal in the zoo, but recognizing that those zoos are a crucial part of that conservation effort for those species really justifies their existence. So I'm really glad that this game does capture those elements of conservation efforts and breeding and releasing to the wild, and we will definitely aim to have some conservation and education elements in this zoo as we go. So as you can see, I'm playing on sandbox mode. I actually normally would play on challenge mode, but there are quite a few reasons I've chosen to go sandbox for this series. I won't go into all of them, but in short, it assists me with achieving realism. I'll do my best to make the animals happy, and if it passes my own judgment, then I'll use that rather than using the in-game welfare, which can be limited by the animal's AI and other things like that. It also will allow me to do what you're actually currently watching, and I can build an entrance now rather than having to wait a fair while before I've done all the mechanic research and I've got the money available to do that. I'm playing on a temperate biome, which is simply, I think that's just the best weather and terrain paint options. This is the North American one, but we're going to pretend it's in Australia. I just picked North America because the zoo is significantly bigger than the Oceanian version. For the series itself, my main goal is to include every species in game. So as of recording this, there's 202 species, so that will take quite a long time, and I'm not sure if it's actually achievable, whether it'll fit and whether my computer can handle it, but regardless, it should be a lot of fun, and that's why we set these long-term goals, so we've always got something to work towards. My other goal is to have a focus on realism. There are some aspects of this game that just will never be realistic. I don't know if you'll ever see a keeper sprinting along the zoo and chuck a crate into an exhibit and out pops an elephant, but we won't be able to achieve perfect realism, but I want my habitats to be accurate to what you would see in real life zoos, and wherever possible I'm going to be working on having that realism aspect. So those are the main goals for the series, but I'm sure we'll develop some sub goals along the way, and I'm again keen to hear any thoughts that you might have with regards to that. So if there's any interesting goals that you'd like to set or different challenges along the way, please do let me know and we'll potentially include those as well. So what you're seeing at the moment is obviously me working on the entrance to the zoo. I saw this at one of my local zoos, and if you know what it is, please share in the comments if you recognize this entrance style. I really liked it when I was there. I saw the mix of the lighter rock with the darker wood and thought it looked really nice, so I've been trying to replicate that. And then through that little tunnel at the front we go into what you're seeing now, which is the ticket office. I took I think it's by Halcyon Chris, who had a set of office supplies on the Steam Workshop, so that's where that printer came from, and we'll take the phone from that as well later. But these types of little details that we're adding, I think they go a really long way towards creating a nice zoo, which I think those small details really come together to make the whole zoo structure really work. Without the small details, you really aren't gonna have it work quite as well. So I figured with this series I would do a small little building tip each episode, and like I said before, I'm by no means perfect, but over time you pick up a few little tips that I think work quite nice. And if you've got any of your own, again, please do share. Like I say, I'm not perfect, so I'm always keen to hear other people's thoughts. For this one, I think the most basic and probably most important tip that you can give for building in this game is to take inspiration from elsewhere. So probably the easiest one to do is if you're out and about, you see a cool looking building or a plant bed or anything like that, a fence style, you know, take a picture of it and maybe put it in your zoo later on. You can also seek inspiration from watching others. So I've definitely gained a lot of inspiration from others, and I'll probably just mention probably the two main ones that have inspired me the most, which would be Caesar Creates and Delay Designer. And for me, making my very first video, I'm sure they're not desperately seeking my shout out given they have tens of thousands of subscribers, but still worth shouting them out because of the inspiration that they've given me along the way towards both building a zoo that I think looks nice, but also you know, inspiring me to make this video. So hopefully in the years to come we can look back and see the progress that I've made, but I guess time will tell with that. So the zoo itself, we are calling Wirradale Zoo. There's no great reason for that. I just thought it sounded like a good word, and it definitely sounds like an Australian location. So that's my explanation for that. The zoo, I think my explanation for how a zoo can possibly house 200 odd species, which a real life zoo is not really going to be able to afford that. The overheads on a real life zoo are insane. So we are just basically saying that this is in a really major city and it's a big zoo and it's world renowned for being this amazing zoo that everyone wants to go to. Obviously as of now it's just an entrance, so probably not, but later on when we're sort of getting more and more species, we want to be able to explain how it's possibly housing that many. So we'll have to work around some realistic elements as to how we're going to explain the zoo having Arctic species, for example, but we'll work on that along the way with, again, a focus on realism. So here, as you see, I'm working on, I think most Planet Zoo players love this structure of just having an eco roof. It makes you not have to worry too much about making the roof itself look nice. It's just chuck some plants down. I'm using the daffodils, which are brand new as of me recording this video, which is nice. They actually looked really, really good there. So I won't comment on every single detail that's in this, but these are the small things that catch you. So I thought the staghorn fern that I placed here looks quite nice. I didn't realize until much later on actually that it has roots that go down quite a long way underground, or in this case into the office building below. So I had to end up replacing that. But those are the small little things that you end up having to compromise towards. Then I came over and just obviously I can't get those corner parts to be curved with the structure of this wood. So I ended up landing on using these girders as a nice little steel metal brace that I thought looked quite nice, and a bit of the aesthetic that I continue to use later on of having the dark bracing along the outsides. So that's the majority of what I want to talk about myself for the time being. But yeah, I'm really curious to hear your own thoughts about, first of all, my video and the video quality and everything. I have to apologize. I don't think my microphone is fantastic, but I can't really justify buying a high quality microphone when I haven't made a single video yet. So apologies if it isn't great, but do let me know anything about the sort of video making process, any advice or tips or feedback. If you've got any, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, I don't care, do let me know. But yeah, I do also want to hear your thoughts about the game itself. So obviously I'm very late to the party in terms of making videos for this game. It's been out for coming up on 6 years now, I think, and we've just had the America's Animal Pack released. I was decently happy with that pack. I was really happy that we got a new World monkey, and the bush dog is such a cool and interesting animal, so I'm really glad that we got that one. But yeah, do let me know if you've got any thoughts with regards to future DLC and what you think should be in that. I think most people that play this game really have quite strong opinions about that, and for good reason. There's some really cool and interesting animals that are still not in the game. So what's your top 3 animals that you really want to see in the game? For me, by far and away, my top one is the golden lion tamarin. I have to include the pelican because I don't think this game would be complete if it didn't have a pelican in it by the time the development ends. And third one, and this is a bit of an oddball one, but one that I've always wanted to see since I first started playing the game is the coconut crab, which I think would be super cool and unique. I'm not sure if we would see it with DLC because it would need a new model and a new rig for them to design, and I'm not sure that they are in a position at the moment with DLC that they would actually do that. Anyway, let me know what you think. As you'll see right there is a staff room. I again am new to the video making process. I honestly have no idea what happened, but I lost the footage for when I added that staff room, and there are a couple exhibits off to the right as well. The like exhibit animal exhibits, they're empty, and I do work on them a bit later on. But yeah, sorry I lost that footage. All I decided, would have this wall sort of curve off this way, and I thought it was a perfect position to put a staff room. I do try to hide them when I can. Speaking of realism, like I was earlier, I think it's absurd that the guests get really annoyed when there are staff rooms nearby. I mean, it's a really bizarre thing that they've got in the game, but so in a challenge mode, the staff room being where it is would actually really frustrate the guests, but because we're on sandbox mode, I don't need to worry about that, which is nice. Working on the indoors here, I end up adding a nice coffee shop, which I think is the type of thing that you would see at the entrance to a zoo. I do plan eventually on adding an exit with a gift shop. There's a ton of zoos that you'll see that have their gift shops built into the exit, which probably ropes people into spending a little bit more money. But we don't have any gift shops at the moment. So that's most of what I wanted to say for this episode. There's still a ways to go. What I think I'll do, I do like the idea of having at least one species in every single episode that we do of this. And I did add those exhibit animals, which you can see in the background at the moment, at least the empty exhibits. So I might leave it running for a bit and come back and talk about those animals and the process of adding in those exhibits. Okay, so I'm back. As you can see, I've just installed this temporary area for the trade center and all that stuff, because you need those to actually get the animals. So the two animals that we decided was the eastern blue tongue lizard and the eastern brown snake. So these are two animals that I do see relatively often in real life. Definitely the blue tongue lizard, quite common. You probably see them around the house 2 or 3 times a year. And the brown snake you might see if you're out on a hike or something. You might see again maybe once a year. Brown snake is really quite deadly, so you've got to be careful around that. But I always think that the talk about that stuff is a bit overblown. When I look at Americans who are concerned about it, and I think you guys have bears and moose and mountain lions, I'd be a bit more worried about that personally. But regardless, these animals, they are deadly, but well, the snake is deadly at least, but it doesn't actually kill many people because people have common sense and don't mess with snakes usually. Anyway, as you see, I'm sort of adding a few rock formations on the edges of the exhibit. I know that some people add the big, all sorts of plant life and rocks and things inside the exhibit that are all over the place. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of that. I want to actually be able to see the animal, so I'm okay doing the rock walls on the edges, but I'm not really intending on adding much else other than that. Here I'm messing around with these decals and things. I tried to do a default, I forget what they're called, square shape, and then as you can see here, I've abandoned that pretty quickly and gone for the concrete wall instead, which looks a lot better. Yeah, these two are quite nice species. To me, it makes a lot of sense to have these species in my entrance area of the zoo rather than anything else. Like, you're not going to walk into an entrance area to the ticket buying station and look over and see some lions. They're going to be at a fairly focal point later on in the zoo. So these are just some basic native wildlife to the area that are still interesting to have a look at, but it's not the main draw to the reason why you actually go to the zoo. So that's why I put them there. Here I'm sort of fumbling about trying to make a good looking door. I'm not actually the happiest with the end product of that door, but oh well, we might figure that out later. I was pretty happy that the snake and the lizard had different designs for the actual exhibits. Obviously a lot of them share designs. I was a bit worried about that, but the fact that they're different makes it look a whole lot better. For viewing, it's not identical, which always looks a little bit silly. As you can see off just to the side, we added a little door. These doors are the entranceways to the exhibits. I'm talking about a door off to the side of the exhibits that lets the keepers get backstage to access that, and I think the plan will be to add some bigger backstage area behind in that area later on. Other than that, that's about all I have to say about those species. So there's a little bit more left to go, but I'll leave you guys to it. And yeah, if you enjoyed it, consider subscribing. Like I've said, if you have any feedback, please do let me know. I'm very interested to hear it. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you for watching.